Inserting a block is pretty straightforward, so you can click on this insert option and you can insert a block from this preview panel. But there are also some options which you can use while inserting the block. So I'll select this block and now I'll insert it. In this case, we have the simple block. Now I'll click on this insert, I'll select the block, but I'll not click anywhere. Instead, I'll right click. Now we have some options here like rotate. Now you can rotate this block. So simply you need to specify the rotation angle. Now click here in the drawing area and specify the second point. So that will indicate the rotation angle, which is 90 in this case. And now you can click on the base point to insert the block. Similarly, if you want to rotate it to 180 degrees, once again, you can click on this sync, right click, select rotate. Now click on this point and click on this point and we have it rotated to an angle of 180 degrees. You can not only rotate the block while inserting, but you can also change the scale. So I'll select both of these block references and I'll erase them. Now once again, I'll select sync, right click and select scale. And in this case, you can change the scale. So right now, let's increase its size to twice of its original value. So I'll type 2 and press enter. Now we have this block, which is twice the original size. Now let's insert one more reference of this block. So I'll select sync and I'll right click, and in this case you'll notice that we have an option of X, Y and Z. So using these options we can change the scale of this block in different directions in X, Y and Z axis, and we can change them in different directions because while creating the block we have unchecked the option of uniform scaling. So now we can change it in different axis. So I'll select this X axis and now I'll type the X factor of 1.5. So in this case, the block will be stretched to 1.5 times of its original value only in X direction, and the Y direction will remain same, just like this. So when you compare it with the original block, you'll notice that the length has been stretched to 1.5 times, but the width is retained. In this case, if you don't want this behavior, if you want the block to stretch uniformly in all of the directions, then while making the block, make sure that scale uniformly is always checked. So now I'll cancel it and I'll remove all of these instances of the block. So you can insert these blocks using these methods, but also there is one more way of inserting the block, and that's using the insert window. So click on this insert button and now go to this more options. And now you'll have more options of inserting the block. In this case, we have the insertion point which we'll specify on screen. So I'll keep it checked. Now we have an option of scale. So obviously we have this option of changing scale in X, Y and Z direction separately. So you can select your scale if you want. Also, you can specify any angle directly here. So you can specify an angle of, let's say, 45 degrees if you want to insert the block directly by rotating it to an angle of 45 degrees. And if you want to explode the block after inserting, you can check this box. Now let's click on OK and let's click anywhere to insert the block. Now the block has been inserted at an angle of 45, and also when you hover your cursor, you'll notice that it's no longer a block because it has already been exploded. And when you explode a block, it returns back to the original form from which it was created. So we have created it using polylines, lines and these circles and arcs. So it is returned back to that form. So I'll once again go to this insert, I'll select more options and I'll make sure that all the overrides are unchecked. So I'll uncheck this explode and I'll select the uniform scale for all of these axes. Also the angle should be 0. Click on OK. Now we have the normal block here and it has been added with the default values. So this was all about creating and inserting blocks in our AutoCAD drawing.